Hello, Facebook. My name is Mario Stanton, and I would like to welcome you to the Online Atheist Convention. I am the founder of Black Atheist Group of Facebook, a group which was started in 2009 and has roughly about 7,000 members at this time. It was featured in the New York Times and in the Grio. I also sit on the board of directors of American Atheists. I would first like to thank Adam Collins and everyone else who was involved in putting this online atheist convention together for my invitation to speak to you guys. I consider it an honor. I would also like to thank the members of Black Atheists who make my group strong and popular, who are the backbone of my group. I'd like to thank the board of admin of Black Atheists. Without them, the group would not function as smoothly as it does. Sometimes there's bumps, but for the most part, they put in hours and hours of tireless work for free in order to keep the group going as well as it is. They are my rocks. I really love them. I really, really appreciate them. The title of my talk today is Black Atheist, the Minority Within the Minority. Now, you can take this two ways. Either Black people are the minority, the larger minority, and Black atheists within Black people is a smaller minority, or atheists are the larger minority and Black people within the atheist community is a minority. Either way, this talk will cover of that situation. So let me begin. As of November the 5th, 2015, the total population of the U.S. was roughly about 322.1 million people. This will make us the third most populated country in the entire world behind China and India. And this is according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Now, the demographics of the United States as of 2010, as the last reported census, roughly makes about 196.8 million whites, which makes them about 63.7%. Blacks would be at 37.7 million people at about 12.2%. Asians, 14.5 million people at 4.7%. Native Americans at 2.2 million at about 0.7%. And Latinos at 50.5 million people at 16.4%. Now, according to a 2012 study by the Pew Research Center, roughly about 20% of people describe themselves as non-religious. Now, let's not take that to mean that 20% of people are atheists. That means that 20% of all people in the United States do not have a religious affiliation. Most of those people do believe in some sort of deity. It could be a theistic deity, it could be a non-theistic deity, but they still believe in a deity. They just do not have any affiliation with any organized religion. Now, out of the entire population of the United States, as of 2012, 2.4% of all of the entire population of the United States was considered themselves to be atheists. And when I say atheists, I mean strong atheists. Since then, in 2014, it was reported that strong atheists make up 3.1% of the total population of the United States. Our numbers are growing, but we are still a very small minority within the overall population of the United States. Now, out of all atheists, 78% of all atheists are white. 3% of atheists are black. 7% of atheists are Asian, and Latinos make up 10%. Whites and Asians are overrepresented in atheism. Blacks and Latinos are underrepresented in atheism. And this is per capita. This is based on the percentage of those people within, or percentage of those people within within the total population, and the percentages of those people within the atheist population. In some places, in some things, I've seen, or in some sources, I've seen the percentage of black atheists be as low as 0.5%. Now, 0.5% of the African American population will roughly be about 400,000 people. Now, let's say it is 3% as reported by the Pew Research Foundation, Pew Research Foundation. Then we're talking about maybe roughly about 2.2 to 2.4 million people who are black and atheists. Now, why is that? Why is atheism underrepresented amongst black Americans? Now, the racist or stereotypical viewpoint is that blacks are somehow more superstitious than any other group or than most other groups. And this is a stereotype. In reality, the number of atheists in Africa is about par with the number of atheists in America as the continent of Africa. In certain places in Africa, the number of atheists within those certain places in Africa is more percentage-wise than the number of than the percentages of atheists within America. Certainly in places like South Africa, maybe Botswana and Ghana. So why is it that atheism isn't as popular amongst black folks as it is maybe amongst whites and Asians? Well, there's 4 reasons for this. The first reason is that atheism is associated with European cultural assimilation and identity by many black people. Now, to speak plainly, there's the notion that to be atheist is to be white. Atheism is attached to white thought. And the irony behind that is that me personally, as a black man, I was going through, or I'm always thirsty for knowledge of self. And I'm always looking to learn more about myself, my people, my ancestry, learn more about Africa, Caribbean, the African diaspora, things of that nature. We call that knowledge of self. And because of this thirst, I always find myself in black bookstores where a lot of times these books or whatever that have certain information aren't basically provided by mainstream bookstores. B. Dalton, what's that? Barnes and Noble, stuff like that. So my personal journey towards atheism began and was nurtured by the black bookstore. So if it wasn't for my knowledge of self, I would probably still be a theist at this time. That's an irony behind that. Now, the second reason why atheism isn't necessarily popular amongst black people is there's this connection between atheism and a post-secondary liberal arts education. Now, let me explain that. In a lot of atheist circles, you will find that most atheists, or most of these people in these circles, are educated. Many of them hold graduate degrees. So you may have, someone, you may be rubbing elbows with a lot of people who have PhDs, who have master's degrees. Well, some sort of doctorate. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say PhD, but some sort of doctorate and master's degrees, and at the very least, a bachelor's or associate's degree in something. And according to the National Center for Education Statistics in 2012, out of all college students enrolling into college at that time, or out of all students enrolling in college in 2012, 60% of those people were white, 6% of them were Asian, and blacks and Latinos both comprised of 15%, not together, but as the separate groups, 15%. So, yeah, even though blacks are overrepresented as far as college enrollment, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're all getting a liberal arts education. And when I say liberal arts education, that's an education that is more well rounded than, let's say, a vocational education, um, or that's more centered on learning about some of everything rather than just learning about this what my major is, whatever. When you find that a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, um, don't necessarily major in things that they think will not produce them a nice paycheck after college, because a lot of us just don't have the money to be able to afford to go to college for philosophy or sociology or something like that. So you find that a lot of black people are majoring in business administration, computer informational systems, things of that nature. So because of this, there is not the emphasis on um, learning about other things as there will be amongst other groups of people. Um, the average population of black people at predominantly white institutions, and those are institutions that are not HBCUs, which are the acronym stands for Historical Black Colleges and Universities, is around 6%. So 6% of most colleges are predominantly white colleges are usually African American. In some places, much lower numbers than that. The third reason is because religion is so entrenched in black culture and black life. In black movies, you find a lot of religious overtones, or you may find people speaking about religion or a proclamation of faith. In music, you may hear a lot of references or whatever, a lot of religious references. I don't care if it's secular music or gospel music. At some point, there's going to be um, a religious. Um, there's going to be someone who's going to make a religious proclamation or some expression of faith. You see this in urban radio stations, where urban radio stations will have a time slot for gospel music or for religious talk. The DJs in these urban radio stations may evoke some sort of religious speaking, or may talk about their relationship with their deity in the middle of playing spinning records or whatever, or in a morning show or afternoon show or something like that. So again, we got this thing where religion is basically a part of the culture, seeing like we're seen as like one of the signature components of a cultural identity. In this case, African American, Black American cultural identity. A lot of organizations, Black Greek letter organizations, BGLOs. I was involved in 100 Black Men. In 100 Black Men, we began our meetings with a prayer or something like that. So when you look at these organizations always have a religious component. And in the black leadership, you see, when you look at the black leadership or the so-called black leadership, you see a minister, you see a reverend, or when people are invited on TV to speak about black life or blackness, whatever. There's Reverend so and so, minister so and so. This is also amongst the black intellect, where people like Talbot Smiley, Cornell West, Dr. Cornell West, Michael Eric Dyson, they're all men who believe in a deity, and many of those people have divinity degrees. So, religion again is a part of the cultural signature of African American people. And also, the last and probably the most important reason why the number of black atheists continues to be smaller as per capita, as compared to the general population, is that religion is visibly seen aiding the community. When you need someone to feed the homeless, when you need someone to feed the poor, when you need someone to fight for social justice, you will see the church leaders there, but you won't necessarily see the secular community there. Secular community is not as visible. The churches usually tell people like, "Hey, we are this church, and we are fighting against police brutality. We are here. We are seen. We have bullhorns. We're wearing lapel pins. We're wearing T-shirts representing our religious community." There's a food pantry at some church, and people see they can go to the food pantry and they can get food from this religious community, or they can get aid for like certain things or whatever. I can get aid for my light bill, something like that. I can get aid uh, uh, for my water bill, through the religious community, through the faith based community. A lot of them offer assistance for people who cannot pay their rent. So with us in the secular community, we don't have a secular equivalent to that as of yet, and if we do, it's not very visible. So what can be done to make more black people turn towards atheism, bring more black people into the fold as far as atheism, or make more black people come out as atheists? And I believe that in order to achieve that, we must first be bold and visible as black atheists. Those of us who are black atheists, we need to be bold and visible. We need to let everyone know that, hey, this is the way I feel. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. We also need to be associated with activism and service to the community. Atheists need to be visible within the black community. Not just the black affluent community, but the black community that is downtrodden, that needs a lot of social help. We need to think about feeding the homeless, feeding school children in the morning. We need to think about being there, being visible, wearing our T-shirts whenever there's a march against violence in the community, or a march against police brutality, or some of those other things, whatever. Um, we need more people, black people, in sports, or more open black atheists in sports and entertainment. We usually see sports figures making proclamations of faith. My God, this, my God, that. Thank you, God, for making me score this touchdown. Thank you, God, for letting me score this home run. We need more open atheists in the sports community. Now, don't expect them to hit a home run and say there is no God, but I expect them to be open when asked about it in the media. Also, in the overall atheist community and the predominantly white atheist circles, there needs to be a control of some of the racism, whatever that is seen in predominantly white atheist circles, the meetups, the online groups, whatnot. The racism needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be called out, and it needs to be dealt with. If it's not, it's going to continue to fester. It's going to continue to be a cancer on the atheist community as a whole. So, in conclusion, I'm going to say this: I believe that the number of atheists will rise due to social media and black atheist groups like my own, black atheist groups like Black Non-Believers, Black atheist groups like Black Atheists of America, and so forth and so forth. The more coverage that these groups get, the more of a platform that we get to spread our message, the more people will be attracted to our message. All right, my name is Mario Stanton, and I want to thank everyone for their time for listening to me, letting me say something to you for a moment, and I'm ready to take any of your questions if you have any. Again, thank you and enjoy the rest of the online atheist convention.